Welcome into WeAreSC. Welcome into Four Downs. This is Erik McKinney, joined by Greg Katz. Greg, we're talking USC Arizona. USC back in the Coliseum, two straight road games. That will be nice, I'm sure, for the players and the fans to be able to see them. So this is a 5-0, number 9 ranked USC team hosting an Arizona team, 3-2 overall, 1-1 in the conference, coming off a close loss to Washington that kind of got lost a little bit in everyone's kind of concern over USC's close win at Colorado. Washington had a close one against this Arizona team. So I think personally playing Washington is about the best prep you can get for what you're going to see against USC, just in terms of that ball going everywhere and dynamic skill guys everywhere. So I think Arizona is going to come in with a little bit of confidence in this one. Let's go, and we'll go into our first down, which is always that USC offense. What is the one thing you're looking for when that USC offense takes the field Saturday night?
Whether they're going to run the ball. I'm always into coaches' quotes because it's a credibility issue with me. If you say we should have run the ball more, you better run the ball more, because not only do people in the media see it, because, hey, Lincoln, you said it, but the players on the team pick up on that and they start talking. You know, it's been a while since I've seen a 5-0 team be so severely questioned about whether they're even in the talk for the national championship, because it seems like in the last 2 weeks it's really eroded. So I'm going to be looking that they're going to run the ball. They shouldn't stop passing, of course, but you know, let's see. If you're going to talk the talk, you better walk the walk. From my perspective, anyway.
I'm right with you on that. And Washington threw the ball quite a bit, but didn't have the big explosive plays that you expect from that offense. USC is right there with Washington in terms of generating explosive plays and pushing the ball downfield and picking up big chunks of yards. Arizona was pretty comfortable rushing 3, rushing 4 on a majority of those plays and sitting back and just making sure that they didn't get crushed, that they gave up. If they gave up touchdown drives, they were long drives. So that's kind of what I'm looking for is USC comfortable just kind of imposing its will, but taking what's there. If Arizona has kind of a lighter box because there are guys dropping back everywhere, what you just said, can you run the ball? Can you stick to running the ball if that's what this specific game calls for? And listening to the players, listening to Lincoln Riley a couple times, one right after that Colorado game and then during the week, you can tell that they were bothered by what the run game produced. And that was players, and that was coaches, and that was the play calling, that was the offensive line performance, that was the running back performance. It feels like they're going to try to make a statement, I think, on the ground against Arizona. And this is a top 25 Arizona run defense. I mean, they haven't played phenomenal teams, but Washington's in there, Mississippi State's in there. Like there are a few teams in there. It's not a high school team. So USC, I think, is going to have to prove itself with that offensive line and with the ability to run the ball against an Arizona team that I think is going to dare him to, because you can't dare Caleb Williams to beat you. I mean, if you're going to have 7 guys, 8 guys up in the box consistently, Caleb Williams is going to go nuts. So yeah, I think I'm right with you.
See, I think they're going to make sure that Taj Washington isn't going on a 75-yard pass play deep. And that's actually the strength of Lincoln Riley. He devises ways to go against that type. So I'm really confident he'll figure out a way. The question is, underscoring what you said, if they say you're going to have to march down the field, there's going to be no explosive plays, everything is going to be kept in front of us, do you have the patience to stick with the running attack? I don't think by nature Lincoln Riley wants to be a run first, pass second team. So he could be tested through 4 quarters. But the thing I liked about Arizona is that they competed. I watched the game. They competed. They never backed down. Once they figured out, okay, Penix isn't going to, throw for 5,000 yards and 25 touchdowns. We can stay with him. And remember that Noah Fafita from Servite High School was a backup. And to my knowledge, up to this point, I don't know whether he's going to start or Delora is going to start. But I know this, Delora has given SC challenges in the past, even going back to his Washington State days. So, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a very interesting game. Let's put it that way.
I think Lincoln Riley likes to run, but he likes to hit 40-yard, 50-yard runs, right? He likes the explosion even in the run game too. Are you comfortable, like you said, if the run is 4.5 yards, if it's 5 yards, if it's 4 yards, do you see that as a success and keep going to that even when it's just that and you're not hitting for 15 yards, 20 yards and those kind of plays? That's a lot of talk for a USC offense that we're both pretty confident is going to go out and put up yards and points against Arizona. Let's go to second down, and that's what you are looking for when that USC defense is on the field, and that's the unit, right, that has gotten so much attention and so many words devoted to what it's done so far.
Well, obviously, we've talked about pushing the panic button or grave concern. Pick up the cliche that you want. I have no doubt that they're going to test the SC corners, no doubt whatsoever. And you wonder how much confidence plays in it for the corners, just in the here we go again type of mentality. Now, I think that SC, the thing I'm going to be looking for there on defense is, can you contain the quarterback, keep him in the pocket? Can you bull rush? Can you swim technique? Can you get in there and really, no matter who the quarterback, Fafita's not very tall. He's not a very big quarterback in stature, but he'll move around. And, it's not what he looks like. It's where the ball lands when he throws it. And he's got, Tetaroa, McMillan there, and some other receivers that, they're not schlock. I mean, they're pretty effective. So will SC be able to get into a mind? I think playing in front of people at the Coliseum will give them a lot of energy, a lot of confidence, at least initially. My biggest concern, honestly, is that, to me, it's proven that almost like a light switch, SC can go from extremely confident to like a panic attack with, chickens with their heads cut off. And all of a sudden, instead of 11 guys playing as a unit, you got like 5 guys back there that really have, Chinese fire drills, so to speak.
Yeah, so Lincoln Riley against Colorado said there were really only 2 things they did wrong, just in terms of an on the field kind of stuff. The mentality and the fact that he said, maybe we had some scoreboard watching and some players checking out. That's starting to wave a little bit of a red flag. But in terms of on the field production defensively, his 2 things were keep the quarterback in the pocket, don't get out of rush lanes when you're rushing the quarterback, and then tackle on the perimeter. So those have to be the 2 things, right? If he is super pleased with everything else, and again, that's a discussion if there are other issues as well. But if he's pleased with the way everything else was going, you got to do those 2 things. And the pass rush has been really good. But if you go back and watch Colorado, there's absolutely some times where someone cuts in and clearly is expecting someone to maybe stun around them or a twist, or just gets pushed inside when they need to stay outside. And Shedeur Sanders, who is not a significant runner, right? He can move, he can do all that stuff. A little bit like Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams does not take the ball looking to run, but he can hurt you if you let him. I don't know if the Arizona quarterbacks are quite as good as that, but they can move. I mean, if you're playing quarterback in college football now and you have an opening, you can go. These guys are all athletes. They can pick that up. So I think that's going to be key, especially if they're playing against Noah Fafita, who again is a good quarterback, but not a lot of experience. And he's someone that you'd expect to be able to maybe rattle in this kind of situation if you can put the kind of pressure that USC's defensive front has put on quarterbacks this year. The issue is going to be outside, right? The corners, sticking with these 2 guys, Jacob Kine and T-Mac, right? Who USC fans should be very familiar with coming out of Servite High School. This whole team, Arizona team, came out of Servite High School, by the way. There's guys on both sides.
They're not changing their name to Friars, are they? The University of Arizona Friars.
So you're going to give up receptions. They throw the ball well. They complete a lot of their passes. Cowing is number 2 in the Pac-12 in receptions. He is down low. He's in the 30s in terms of yards per reception. So can USC's defensive backs keep that up? If he's catching the ball for 6 yards a reception, you're okay with that. You can live with that. If he pops one and it goes for 50 because you missed a tackle and the safety's not coming over with the right angle or nobody's there, that's tougher to live with. And then, like you said, if that does happen, how do you respond? USC's defense got popped a couple times against Colorado, and it did feel like it just everything went out the window, and they kind of stopped doing the things that they can trust and the things that they do well. And the avalanche came, and the only thing that stopped it was the end of the game. Right there was one stop late, like 1 out of 5 drives where they got to stop, but there is a lot to look for. And I think ultimately what you want from this was the last of the tune-up games. And again, Arizona is a better team than that. This Arizona offense is not Nevada or San Jose State or anything like that, but it gets real after this. So I think ultimately at the end of this game, you want to look at USC defensively and just say, that looked good. It looked kind of overpowering, and they did what they needed to do. There are going to be mistakes. They're not going to keep this Arizona team to 3 points or 7 points. I mean, that's just college football now. Arizona is going to score the way USC's defense plays. They're going to score. But is it 17, right? Is it 21? Or are we talking about it's 35, 38, and you're having to outscore another team? I think that's kind of you want to take the eye test at the end of this and just say, yeah, there's something to build for there. You kind of like where this group is going into Notre Dame. And that's a big question. I think that's the question in this game.
Big question.
All right, Greg, we're going to go into third down, and there's some picks here, courtesy of our friends at PrizePicks. There isn't a better way to enjoy watching your favorite team than by playing daily fantasy with our friends at PrizePicks. Simply select between 2 to 6 players, predict if they'll go more or less than their PrizePicks projection. You can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. And right now, all first-time users that deposit and use the promo code SC will receive 100% instant deposit match up to $100. Now, Greg, I got ripped in this one last week. We went Marshawn Lloyd, right? We went Marshawn Lloyd on the ground more than, I believe it was about 90 yards. We thought he was going to go big, and that USC run game was not there. He got close. I think 84 is what he finished with. And then I went Caleb Williams and Shedeur Sanders to go less than, I think, 660 yards. Because I thought, again, ground game, and it was all this talk about this offensive explosion. And sometimes in college football, it's like, oh, that didn't really happen. So what am I doing this week? Greg? I'm going the exact same thing. I'm going Marshawn Lloyd on the ground more than 90.5 rush yards. And I'm looking back at Caleb Williams and Shedeur Sanders. Colorado has Arizona State. Remember, we have to do a couple different teams in this. And I think because of the Arizona quarterback situation, not a lot of Arizona players to pick from this week. I'm going less. That number is big. 706.5 passing yards combined between Caleb Williams and Shedeur Sanders. And my thinking on this is, again, Arizona made Washington work for it. They made Washington work for all 31 points that they got. Washington had 2 7-play scoring drives, and then pretty much everything else was in double digits. If you start shortening the game with a lot of drives, my read on this, passing yards go down. And I think that USC wants to make a real statement on the ground with Marshawn Lloyd and with that running game. This will be a fool me once, fool me twice kind of thing here. If Caleb goes nuts and throws for 500 yards, I'm never picking less for him again. It'll be more every time, every week for Caleb, because he will be just that good at that point. Your read on those two kinds of things. I know it's a lot of USC offense in that one. I think, again, because that Arizona offense with that quarterback situation is going to be kind of maybe a game time decision there.
No, I think your picks are right on. I think your explanations are right on. I just hope that Lincoln Riley's comments that he's going to do what he's going to do, like on the run game. I thought that Marshawn, Lynch was going to have a big game. Marshawn Lloyd. I knew I was going to do that one time. I just knew it was going to happen. No, I think that Lloyd should accomplish the goal. I mean, it'd be a little disappointing if he doesn't get 100 yards rushing at the minimum. And I'll tell you what I think about this Colorado team. I think that Deion Sanders has them in a mindset that even if they lost, he figures out a way to motivate his team for the next week. I think they'll be plenty motivated for this week. And I think that Sanders is a winner. I think that he will throw for, I don't think it's going to make any difference that they lost the week before. I think he's going to do what he's going to do. Let's put it that way. And I think the whole team is motivated. They have a bowl game still in sight. So, they'll keep the pedal to the metal. So I go along with what you say. It's reasonable.
All right, here we go. 4th down, and that's our number for this one. Go ahead and go. What is the number that you're looking at for USC Arizona?
Oh boy, I tell you, I know what I'm thinking. So I'm trying to hone the correct number. Of course, it's going to be how many points does SC give up on defense? If they're going to give up 35 points, I guess they would still win, right? But I'll tell you, my confidence with where we are right now is very little, because this team has proven, whether it's Arizona State or whether it's, Colorado, we're not even talking about the big boys coming up, right? And so I go, well, until I see it, I'm a doubter. I hate to say it, but I'm a doubter. So I'm going to say 30 points, or 30. I'll even go 35, right? I think maybe 35, and I'm embarrassed to have to even say 35. But SC, if they score their typical 45, they're going to win, right? But you got to think that in terms of Caleb Williams, I mean, when you say, well, how many touchdown passes is he going to throw? I don't know if does he want to throw or does he have to throw? It's becoming, he has to score. It seems to me almost like every time they get the ball, at least to ensure a victory. And we know that that's not logical, that you're going to score every time you get the ball. So I'm going to go with 35. 35 will be my number. And boy, I hope I'm wrong.
Give us some fodder for Inside the Trojans Huddle next week if Arizona comes away from this one with 35 points.
Boy.
I'm going to go about half that number, but a different stat. And I'm going to say 17 is my number. USC, and these are credited to PFF numbers. 17 missed tackles is what USC was credited with against Colorado, which is the high for this year. It's not the high for a Alex Grinch USC defense. Last year, I think 24 they got hit with against Utah in the conference championship game. 17 is the most this year. It's 2 more than the 15 that they got hit with against Arizona State, which had been the high. So you're seeing it go the wrong way. I believe it was 8 in the opener, 10, 15, 17 is the way that's going. And again, the offenses are getting better. You're going to see better offenses as you go along. But that's a number you need to kick that down this week. You can't keep trending up, because Notre Dame the next week, and I know that they don't have to beat Notre Dame this weekend, right? You just have to beat Arizona. But Notre Dame brings a running back in who's probably the best in the country in terms of forcing missed tackles and broken tackles. So that's going to be my number. And again, it goes back to just what's your sense of the defense at the end of this? In the right place, winning one-on-ones, making tackles, not having to chase guys 50 yards downfield because it seemed like you had him bracketed and all of a sudden he's gone. So That's it for me. The points, USC is going to score points. I think Arizona is going to score a bit. And Arizona head coach Jed Fish, he was pretty honest about it. He's like, we got to score one more. However that happens. If everybody's scoring, 80 points, we got to score one more. If it's a defensive game, we got to score one more. And Lincoln Riley has said that too, right? You have games where the offense has to win it. You have games where the defense has to win it. We haven't seen any yet where the defense has to win it, but you want, I think, in this one to come out of it with a sense of, okay, the defense, if they needed to, they could hold someone to 21, or that, you could be okay if you get into that Oregon State game from last year. So that's it for me, how they're wrapping up, how they're bringing the Arizona players down, because these are good. Arizona's got some skill guys out here. They're going to test USC. So we're going to look for the missed tackle number. And then, like you said, 35 or less, I think, on the scoreboard is what most USC fans are going to be rooting for here. So, again, a reminder, too, to all USC fans, stay tuned after the game. We will have Greg and Mark Hulkin and I will bring you 5 things where we look at 5 of the most important subject matter things from USC's hopeful win against Arizona. And that's going to come out late Saturday night after a 7:30 kick against Arizona in the Coliseum. But for Greg Katz, this is Erik McKinney. Thanks for watching WeAreSC. Thanks for watching 4 Downs. Enjoy watching your Trojans take on the Wildcats this Saturday night.